You finally quit the 9 to 5. You paid off the last of the debt. You closed the laptop for the last time on a Friday, and you sat down on a random Tuesday afternoon with nothing on the calendar, and you felt nothing. Not relief, not joy, just a strange, quiet flatness that nobody warned you about. You expected fireworks. You got silence. For years, the story was simple. Escape the rat race, and everything changes. Hit the number, quit the job, and the anxiety disappears with it. But the anxiety didn't disappear. It just changed clothes. This isn't a story about failing to escape. You did escape. The paycheck is gone, the boss is gone, the alarm clock is gone. This is a story about what happens after the escape, when your brain refuses to get the memo that the race is over. In 1978, psychologists Philip Brickman, Dan Coates, and Ronnie Janoff-Bullman studied two very different groups of people, recent lottery winners and recent accident victims, who had become paraplegic or quadriplegic. A few months out, the lottery winners weren't dramatically happier than a control group, and the accident victims weren't nearly as devastated as anyone predicted. Both groups had drifted back toward the same baseline they started with. Their circumstances changed completely. Their internal weather did not. This effect has a name. Brickman and his colleague Donald Campbell called it the hedonic treadmill. The tendency for humans to return to a stable level of happiness no matter how good or bad their circumstances become. You can walk faster. You can run. The treadmill just speeds up underneath you. That's what's happening to you right now. You upgraded your life. Your nervous system didn't get the update. Here's the part that stings the most. The anxiety you used to feel about money, deadlines, and your boss's tone in a Slack message, it's still there. It just moved. Now it's about whether you're being productive enough with your freedom. Whether you're falling behind people who are still climbing. Whether quitting was actually a mistake, dressed up as a win. Same restless static, new frequency. Economist Richard Easterlin noticed something similar back in 1974, when he compared income growth across entire countries over time. As nations got richer, average reported happiness barely moved. He called it what it looked like, a paradox. More money, more stuff, more comfort, and yet the needle on how people actually felt about their lives stayed remarkably still. Easterlin was looking at nations. You're living it as one person. So let's walk through what actually happens when someone escapes the rat race the way you did. Month 1, you sleep in. You cook real meals. You feel like you cracked the code everyone else is still stuck grinding through. There's a genuine high here, and it's real. For about 6 to 8 weeks. Month 3, the high fades, and a new question shows up uninvited. What now? The job used to answer that question for you, whether you liked the job or not. It structured your day, gave you a scoreboard, gave you people to compare yourself to. Remove the structure, and your brain, starved for a scoreboard, starts inventing one. It picks your bank balance, your follower count, your side project's revenue, anything that can be measured, and therefore anything that can be failed. Month 6. You notice your spending crept up to match your new freedom, even though your income didn't. This isn't an accident, and it isn't just you being careless. In 1955, the British historian C. Northcote Parkinson wrote a satirical essay for The Economist that produced a genuinely useful idea. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. And, as later writers extended it, expenses expand to fill the income available to spend them. Give yourself more freedom, and your habits will quietly build a new cage, sized exactly to fit it. Picture the actual moment. You're at your kitchen table on a Wednesday morning, coffee going cold, and an old coworker texts you a photo from the office holiday party. You feel two things at once, and they contradict each other. Relief, because you're not there, and a flicker of something close to panic, Because everyone in that photo has a title, a team, a place in a structure, and you have a blank calendar and a question mark. That flicker is not evidence you made the wrong call. It's your brain, which spent years being rewarded for climbing something, suddenly handed nothing to climb. This is where most people quietly sabotage the very freedom they fought for. They can't tolerate the blank calendar, so they fill it, not with rest, but with a new race. A side hustle that has to hit a revenue target. A fitness goal with a hard deadline. A house renovation that somehow needs to be finished by a date nobody actually set. None of these are bad on their own. The problem is the motive underneath them. Not curiosity, not enjoyment, but the old, familiar hum of needing to prove you're still moving forward. You didn't leave the rat race. You just built a smaller, private one, with yourself as the only competitor and the only judge. Here's the counterintuitive twist. Escaping the rat race was never going to fix how you feel, because the rat race was never really about the job. The job was just the container, the actual race, the internal one, the comparison, the need to prove something, the fear of falling behind, was running inside you the entire time. You could have escaped it at the office. You can fail to escape it in a hammock on a Tuesday afternoon with zero obligations. Psychologist Tal Ben-Shahar, who taught one of the most popular courses in Harvard's history on positive psychology, has a term for the letdown you're feeling. He calls it the arrival fallacy, the false belief that reaching a goal will produce a lasting state of happiness. Students believe it about getting into a top university. Employees believe it about the promotion. And you believed it reasonably about quitting the grind for good. The fallacy isn't that the goal was wrong. It's that arriving was never going to feel like the ending you pictured. There's real data on this too, not just theory. In 2010, psychologist Daniel Kahneman and economist Angus Deaton analyzed over 450,000 survey responses from Americans and found that day-to-day emotional well-being rose steadily with income, only up to a point, then flattened out almost completely. More money kept improving how people evaluated their lives on paper. It stopped improving how they actually felt. Hour to hour, once basic needs and a bit of breathing room were covered. Freedom from work follows a similar curve. It removes real pain fast. Past that point, it stops adding what you assumed it would. None of this means quitting was the wrong move, or that financial independence is a scam, or that you should crawl back to a cubicle to feel something again. It means the finish line you were sprinting toward was never going to do the emotional work you were quietly expecting it to do. Money can buy you out of a bad job. It cannot buy you out of a mind that's been trained for years to treat rest as danger and stillness as falling behind. So what actually helps, once you're standing on the other side of the escape you worked so hard for? Structure without a boss. Build the scoreboard yourself. Not a vague, be productive feeling, but specific hours for specific things, so your brain has something to hold on to besides your bank balance. Name the treadmill when it speeds up. The moment you catch yourself comparing your quiet Tuesday to someone else's launch announcement, that's the hedonic treadmill, asking for more speed. You don't have to give it more speed. Let the flatness be data, not a verdict. Feeling nothing after a big win isn't proof you made the wrong choice. Brickman's lottery winners weren't wrong to want to win. They just discovered, like you're discovering now, that winning and feeling settled are two entirely different projects. And separate the goal from the identity. You are not someone who escaped the rat race the way a trophy sits on a shelf, finished and admired forever. You're someone who removed one source of pressure and is now doing the slower, less photogenic work of building a life that doesn't need external pressure to feel worth living. Give the blank calendar a real chance before you fill it with a new race. The instinct to schedule every hour of your newfound freedom is the treadmill in disguise, asking you to prove you deserve the rest you already earned. An empty Tuesday afternoon is not a problem to be solved. For years, it was the entire point. Tying people who are further down this same road. Almost everyone who leaves a structured job for good, through savings, a business, or simply walking away, hits this exact flat patch, usually between month 2 and month 8. Knowing that in advance doesn't remove the feeling, but it does remove the story that something has gone wrong with you specifically. It hasn't. You're on schedule. That work doesn't come with a finish line, a certificate, or a Tuesday afternoon where everything suddenly clicks into place. It comes with practice, noticing the treadmill, naming the fallacy, building your own structure, repeated on ordinary days that nobody else will ever see. You finally quit the 9 to 5. You paid off the last of the debt. You closed the laptop for the last time on a Friday, and you sat down on a random Tuesday afternoon with nothing on the calendar. And this time, instead of waiting for the fireworks, you understood exactly why they never came. And you started building something the treadmill couldn't touch.